Everybody, it's Jork. Welcome back. Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today, I wanted to give some feedback to. I made a video recently about the time of year you should schedule a scouting trip if you're going to go someplace and move to another world, another country, and just I made several videos in the past about what it was like moving specifically to Portugal and maybe some things that you should think about. But someone, had brought up the idea and asked a question. Well, now that you've been in Portugal for almost 5 years, is there anything that you haven't mentioned in the videos that you've made? So I looked at some of my videos. I think I've made 6 or 7 videos about scouting trips or things to think about prepping before your trip or your move or after you move. And something I think I just touched on once, but I think is very important because the majority of you watching this video, if you're watching it for Portugal, are going to come here on a D7 retirement visa or passive income visa. So that means that probably you're older. Probably, and when I say you're older, I mean you could be 25 and more power to you if that's the case. But if you're older, chances are you're going to have stuff start going wrong with you physiologically, biologically, and I can speak from many of the immigrants that we've met and we know, and just us personally. We've had to make trips to the hospital. I had a surgery last summer. I've had people have had strokes, heart attacks, hip replacements, chemo treatments, cancer treatments. And where I'm going with this is a question that needs to be asked along with what's the cost of living, how much does the apartment or home or property in the country cost, how much are groceries, all the bureaucracy of setting up utilities and whatnot, is I think a pragmatic question is how close are you to a hospital? Doesn't have to be Portugal, it can be anywhere on the planet. But the reason I think that is probably I haven't given that the importance that I think I should is I talked to someone yesterday. They're moving from the United States. They're moving from a small town in the U.S. and they've identified a small town in Portugal that they want to move to, and they have a property in mind and they're going to go through the process. And so they're both in their early 70s, and I just asked a general question going, how's your health? And they were both going, well, that's kind of a personal question. I said, I don't need to know details. I don't want to know details. But it's a rhetoric question because what I was saying to them is in looking in this small village, there is no doctor in town, there is a pharmacy, but you're going to have to travel to a bigger town, which is 45 minutes away, to get to a doctor. And you're going to be spending 45 minutes. That's it's small, but the most regional hospital is that close. So if you have something go wrong that's immediate, heart attack, stroke, some sort of maybe a seizure or something like that, where you have an adverse reaction to something. Okay, it's going to take some time for the ambulance to get there. It's going to take some time for the ambulance to drive you to the facility. And that's something that if you're moving to another country, moving to another state, county, parish, province, wherever you live in the world, I would consider how far are you from medical services. Not so much a dentist, not so much an optometrist, but if something goes wrong, or more importantly, when something goes wrong, how long do you have to wait before you are on an operating table or in an emergency room setting where something's happening with the issue? So that's something I don't. I'm sound like I'm being heavy or very morose in this conversation, and I don't mean to be. It's just one of the practical things that I believe more people should think about, because as people are moving, whether it be here to Portugal or around the world, people are generally older. Yes, there's a ton of people in the workforce that are younger, healthy, don't care, and there's a lot of older people that are healthy. But generally speaking, our experience is that the older people that we've associated with, I'm in my 50s and up, there's more stuff happening. And with that, it's important to make sure that you are near facility or facilities. And certainly, if you have a chronic issue or a family history of an issue and you're looking to move, I would certainly be researching where is the closest place to handle that particular issue, where are the doctors, where are the hospital or hospitals that can handle that specific situation, so that as you're moving, okay, you may be okay driving an hour to and then an hour back from a clinic for treatment or something. But again, if you have an emergency, how far are you? And it is something to think about, because they're not going to be sending air ambulances to you. I'm sure that Portugal is equipped with air ambulances, but I have a feeling that they're not all over the country and they're not all covered by insurance. So keep that in mind when you're considering a property and you're considering a more rural property. And what I mean by that, something that's outside of Porto, Lisbon, even outside of Coimbra, because there's facilities there. But as you get to more rural areas, even in the Algarve, you have Faro, but often people get sent up to Lisbon that have issues that may not be, it's not they're not driving you for 2 hours after a heart attack in an ambulance up to Lisbon, but if you have an issue that's not emergency in that sense, but something else, you may have to come up to Lisbon for treatment. Also, the thing about the Algarve is you have Faro is the main city, you have Portimão, but depending on where you want to be, if you want to be someplace rural, I would look on Google Maps or figure out where's the closest hospital, how long does it take if something happens. It's something that people don't like to talk about. I didn't really think about it until a subscriber asked a question, and just kind of pressed me on, did that go into our decision? And it did. When we were moving in 2018, coming here in 2019, and scouting in 2017, we're 4 blocks, well, not true. We're about a 10-minute walk from the hospital, 7 minutes actually. It looks like about 4 blocks on the map. It's a little longer than that based upon how you get there. But we wanted to be close so that if something were to happen, we have a better chance of surviving than not. So just want to add that to your laundry list of things to consider. Often you just don't think about that until you need it. Sort of like life insurance. People don't think about life insurance until something happens, and then, oh, did I buy it or not? Medical insurance and services, you don't think about that, but I would scope out where are things. And if you're looking, dental work, eyes, optometry, look and find out where those places are. You're probably going to need to go to a dentist. Where's the closest one? You may or may not need to go get glasses or contacts. Where is the closest one? Those are decisions that need to be made and considered when you're doing your scouting trip and when you're honing in on that perfect property that you want to find here in Portugal. As always, thank you so much for watching and enjoy your travels.